Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I have some concerns because I can recall your immediate predecessor sitting here, and he said almost exactly the same thing that you said about the budget, that they would not spend a dollar more, and yet we received such drastic cuts that you've heard Mr. Engel speak about and other members. So I'm worried about that aspect of it. I also, when preparing for this hearing, I couldn't help but go back and I looked at some videotape. And the videotape was actually of you, Mr. Secretary, and the attitude that you had about a predecessor. You didn't give her any courtesy when Secretary Hillary Clinton was sitting in a seat before the Benghazi Committee, and you scolded her. You went after her with venom. I couldn't believe the tape when I saw it, and you basically went after her about the QDDR report, which you said only included 2 pages of diplomatic security. You then said and implied and said clearly that meant that the report had no balance, and therefore there was no diplomacy. Security was only mentioned a few times, and so the insinuation was that therefore the Secretary was not interested in diplomatic security. That came from your mouth at that time, at that testimony. So I went back and I looked at your testimony, Mr. Secretary, when you were before the Senate for confirmation. I waited patiently here listening to your testimony here today, Mr. Secretary. I have not heard you mention one single time about diplomatic security. Not once, not once. And then, I know at the time, and we're trying not to play, with my colleague playing politics across but we're here on Howard soil, so I think we've got to get to the facts of the matter. And on the facts of the matter, we heard the Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy at the time say that it was about bringing Hillary Clinton down. And so I hear that maybe giving you the benefit of the doubt, if it wasn't about bringing Hillary Clinton down at the time, then I ask you, Mr. Secretary, should we conclude that because you've not mentioned it one time, not once, should we conclude based upon that fact that you do not care about diplomatic security, Mr. Secretary? Haven't heard it from you, not once.
No, you should not conclude that.
I'll take you at your word.
If I may respond.
I'll take you at your word. You said no, I take you at your word.
No, but I feel like I need at least a few.
But I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to take you at your word. You'll have time. I'm going to take you at your word.
You should know the very
because I happen to agree with you.
The briefing I received as a nominee was from the head of diplomatic security.
Mr. Secretary, reclaiming my time. Mr. Secretary, I happen to agree with you.
Was from the head of diplomatic.
I happen
to know that I'm diligently working on. I'm going to
happen
the
to
implementation
agree
of the
with you,
ARB.
Mr. Secretary.
I take diplomatic security very serious. Never make an accusation.
I happen to agree with you. Oh, not a real secretary is coming out.
If I could just explain. Okay, we're going to give you time, but we want to give the Secretary a chance to respond.
We had
he didn't do that with
Secretary. Killed
he did not do that with Secretary Clinton. Let me tell you that.
Okay. Well, we're going to proceed with the questions and the answers.
But I agree. I'm taking him at his word that simply because something is not mentioned in the report, it does not mean that someone doesn't care. I believe that you do. That's why I didn't want to jump. I'm taking it at your word. But I think that we can conclude that what does matter is how much money is appropriated for diplomatic security. And in this whole thing, when I look at the budgets that was for diplomatic security, I saw that in fiscal year under the Obama administration, over $3 billion went to diplomatic security. But once President Trump came in, I see it went down to $2.1 billion, and fiscal year 19 down to $1.6 billion. So the budget or the money for diplomatic security has gone down about 45% from the Obama administration. So where is the concern now, other side of the aisle, of this administration about diplomatic security?
Diplomatic security is not about dollars expended. It's about delivering real security. It's about getting the right outcomes. It's about having the right people in place. It's about being thoughtful about where you put people. We're going to take risks. We're going to be an expeditionary State Department. I think President Trump demands it. I think each of you do as well. But I'll take a backseat to no one with respect to caring about and protecting the people that.
Nor did Hillary Clinton take a backseat to no one for what she did and about diplomatic security in this country.
Okay. Order. Next in the queue.